We
blame
gotta start.
it on you guys.
We gotta start at the end. What the hell just happened with the coverage on that inbound? Or the lack
You
thereof,
guys tell me. I haven't had enough time to dissect it because I'm trying to do this and then look at it. Did Jalen fall asleep?
Well, it was 2-tie, so I think he creeps in a little bit.
Creeps in, I think, worrying for the law, but I mean, you're the deep safety there. I mean, that's your guy, right?
Well, the 0.5's deceit. I think Jimmy said this too. Stun, you can even get a shot off in that time, but
they always say 0.2 or 0.3 is a tap. 0.3 or more is a catch and shoot. You know, you can't give a guy
didn't shoot, yeah. So
you can't give a guy a clean catch and shoot.
I mean, all he had to do was just stand in front of him and prevent him from catching and shooting.
Let's give Kyle Lowry credit.
No, I'm not giving Kyle Lowry credit because
here comes Bobby.
Because he freaking won all freaking game.
Lowry had a phenomenal game tonight. Won it too. He had the final bucket as well. Before that, they got them within the position.
So he won it by not hitting the winning basket.
Well, he makes the perfect pass on the winner for OG, and then he had the bucket before that.
Yo, Dan, he didn't act like he didn't set this whole thing up, though. Like, he was balling out that whole fourth quarter.
Yep.
I'm giving no credit to anyone.
Not even Lowry?
This was a lost game. They did it here again. We're in the same boat. And again, Toronto didn't even play a great game. The Celtics, again, with a chance to finally put their foot on the gas. Sloppy frigging basketball. 2 Tatum ISOs that were just pointless there, where you had a 4-point lead and you could have made it 7 or 6 or 8 and just put the thing away again. And they just didn't do it. Again, they just let them hang and creep in and then just falling asleep on defense there. I mean, sure, Toronto played better, but again, this was just an absolute giveaway by the Celtics.
Well, John, before the huge play by Kemba, we're not even going to get to that. I mean, that's all we would have been talking about tonight if that didn't happen after. But before that,
if you're a Raptors fan, you'd be losing your mind that they let Tice completely open there. That was a complete down.
They'd be losing their mind too about the bounce where Brown took that little runner two, missed, and it bounces right back to him for what would have been the win if it stayed there. That would have been the sign that Toronto just wasn't meant to win this series. But now all of a sudden we're back at 2-1, and this is a series again. And I blame you guys. I blame you guys for getting overconfident in the first half. Toronto came out and whooped them in the
second quarter.
Yeah, 7. Toronto comes back.
I knew Toronto was going to come back. I mean, not come back in the series, but I knew the series was going to be longer than everyone was anticipating. Like, everyone's talking 4 or 5 games.
I mean, it's so easy to say after a buzzer-beating 3, but we'd be saying completely the opposite.
No, you're right. You're right.
Lead right now.
Right in the extent that
I know that's the thing.
Say that the Toronto Raptors earned this game and that they deserve to win, but hey, they hung around. You can't say like you're making it sound like the Celtics gave them the chance to hang around. I mean, they hung around. They fought. Kyle Lowry fought. That was a heck of a performance.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy's got to sign out and back in because he can't hear you, Josue. So we'll keep yelling. Now I've lost my ally, and you guys can team up on me here.
He heard most of it, I'm sure.
Let's run down. It wasn't just that ridiculous 3-pointer that makes me say this. What did they do in this one? They get Gasol going.
It wasn't even a ridiculous 3-pointer. It was a perfectly clean look and a makeable shot.
Hold on. Let Bobby finish. Hold up. Let Bobby finish. What else, Bobby?
Think of all the things they accomplished tonight. They get Van Fleet going from 3. 2 huge back-to-back threes in the first half and the second half. Siakam, I thought, got going better in this one, early at least, before the foul trouble got him again. Kyle Lowry is right there with Kemba. And we get Gasol going.
Yeah, Van Fleet was 5 of 13.
Yeah.
If you want to,
let's say get him going. 5 of 13 is still shitty shooting.
Van Fleet, he had a couple of big shots tonight, but overall, not anything that you're going to really write home about. Yeah. Lowry is the reason.
I just stick to the second half because that's the most recent that we're talking about.
Lowry is the reason the Raptors won this game, aside from the blown coverage on the inbounds pass. I mean, if they just play typical inbounds defense, we're talking about a Celtics 3-0 series lead. We're talking about, the Heat, and I got my hard hat on again, and we're going for it. But fluke ending to this game, I don't think you can look at
Toronto was winning with 4 minutes left. The Celtics had to go on an 8-0 run to get in the lead.
So what? That doesn't matter? Just discredit an 8-0 run as what? That's a fluke?
How are you going to discredit the whole second half?
Jimmy, you're
I'm
not.
that as a
I
fluke.
mean, you're not, Bobby. They were leading by 10 at the half, 6
Right.
after 3. They had an 8-point lead in the fourth. I mean, what are we talking about? I think you were listening to the announcers a little bit too much because Van Gundy was talking like Toronto was up 30 points in this game.
Yeah.
Like, Toronto played a little better than they played in other games and finally opened up and made a couple shots. Their third quarter zone threw the Celtics off a little bit. Celtics still had this game in the palm of their hands and handed it to them. They did.
Agreed. And this is the second straight game that game 2 they tried to hand it to them. Yeah, they had a lead late in that game and they turned it over a couple of times and they almost blew that one. And that ended on a last-second shot that the Raptors should have called the timeout and drew up a play. And now tonight the Celtics blow this one. They actually complete the blown game. It shouldn't have never come to that point. The Celtics were the better team in this game. I know that both teams went on runs. The Raptors, again, they had to play. Lowry had to have an amazing game, for the Raptors to really compete in this one. And I just feel like this was a major opportunity lost for the Celtics to go up 3-0, essentially seal your ticket into the next round there and just waiting. Now you're giving the Raptors life. You're kind of giving them a reason to come out and fight hard in Game 4 when it didn't have to be that way.
So, John, you hated the 2 possessions at the end there before the Walker one.
Hated it.
Tatum just heaving one, Brown just throwing up a jumper. And I felt like that's how they ended Game 2 as well. They won that game.
They did.
But again, we're talking about a team in the crunch time period that gets away from the movement, gets away from the pick and roll, all the stuff that makes them great offensively throughout the game. So that's something to think about going forward as well. The offense breaking down in the final minute or two.
Well, Bobby, you're right. If you're going to give them credit, you give Toronto credit for coming out with that zone and really kind of flustering them in the third. Tatum never really got going at any point as a result. He just couldn't find where he needed to be in order to make an impact there. I mean, he was dreadful tonight, 5 of 18. Jalen wasn't terrible offensively, but he was pretty sloppy with the ball, in 4 turnovers and really some careless possessions. But that zone kind of threw him off a little bit, and I think they lost all offensive rhythm. And you're right. You get away from the things that you're doing well, and you just go ISO ball down the stretch there with the lead where you just had to play your game. What almost won them the game? Ball movement, But I have no idea why up 4 you just give it to Tatum at the top of the hand. That 3-pointer was just freaking terrible. Just bad positions, bad basketball.
Yeah,
I think his teammates got a little too excited when he started heating up. Everyone was like, okay, now here's the Tatum finish. But
yeah.
John, you have a good point there. It wasn't designed that way. The game wasn't going in that direction. Kemba Walker was really heating up, of course, and you saw him potentially being able to close it out on his own. So I'm with you on that. But I just think we have to give more credit to the Raptors as well. I mean, listen, I'm with you, Jimmy. This is from this game. I'm looking at this for 3 quarters. I'm like, the Celtics are just flat out better. Like, they can't take this on. It's like what I said in the group chat. We were talking about this in the third quarter, but you give them that little window of opportunity, and you'll see someone like Kyle Lowry do what he did. And listen, that shot at the end, I didn't see that one coming though. I really thought we were going into overtime.
And just wait, we're not saying I don't think even Jimmy and I aren't saying any of that. I don't saying
the game was over.
This is the Celtics are here and they're playing Brooklyn. I just think Celtics are here, Toronto's here, and if they both play their best games, the Celtics will win more often than not. Toronto's a good enough team to win games and win the series, but again, I just think anytime the Celtics play their best basketball, they can pull away from them, and they just didn't do it tonight.
Their best is, in my opinion, much better than the Raptors' best, right? I mean, that's kind of what we gathered from the first 3 games. And you already mentioned it. Tatum was off tonight. Brown was whatever. Marcus Smart didn't have a great night by any means. I mean, his outside shot wasn't there. He was nothing like it was, late in Game 2, obviously. I thought the bench was actually solid for the Celtics tonight. I mean, I thought the Celtics played well. I mean, that's why I'm surprised that they didn't come out with the win. I mean, it was a sloppy end of this game, and I feel like the end of these games, the last 2, something they need to work on. Late game execution. Yeah. Offensively, it was great. I mean, how many baskets did they get at the rim against the Raptors down the stretch? I feel like every time they scored, it was at the rim, which is, the later you get into the games, the later you get into the games, the harder it is to do that. But they didn't seem to have much of an issue. I mean, to waste that game by Kemba, that performance by Kemba was an all-time Kemba game. I mean, that's why he got the nickname Cardiac Kemba. I mean, that's the highlights that you see at UConn and Charlotte. Like, him just taking over games, hitting big shots. I mean, that pass at the end to Tice, it was a wizard. That was a wizardry right there. And we all just assumed the game was over. I mean, yeah, they got 0.5 on the clock, but they'll do some desperation heave and it'll miss badly. But no, I mean, complete breakdown. And it's too bad because I thought the Celtics have been the better team in all 3 games. But you got to give the Raptors credit. Lowry did his thing. Lowry is an NBA champ. He's been there, done that, and he put in that type of performance tonight. Nobody else in that Raptors team is really stepping up at all. I mean, I'm completely underwhelmed by
Van Fleet
Siakam.
stepped up big time. It's 38% from 3. That's no joke. And 5 total, it makes a big impact on the final score.
Van Fleet was fine. Siakam needs to do so much more.
Exactly, Jimmy. We haven't seen the Siakam game.
But where is it?
The Siakam game.
What? He hasn't even.
You better get one.
He has not been Siakam since the bubble started. He hasn't been.
And that's on Jalen Brown.
He looks Siakam.
Brown excellent here defensively.
A little bit. I still think he can have that game. And if it's in game 4, I don't know if it's going to put him over the edge because they need Kyle Lowry to do this again. That's the thing. Toronto needs this and then some more, in game 4. So they're really up against it. And the Celtics are going to make their adjustments. And Brad Stevens, I mean, the defense did loosen up a bit compared to the last game, in my opinion. But, I mean, you're going to see a really tough Celtics defense come game 4, and they're going to need that Siakam game if they're going to stay in this.
Yeah. Again, I will tip my cap. The overall play of that last play, the pass, the shot.
Lowry.
He came around.
No, I mean, that play is a great play. I still I'm blown away by what was going on defensively there, but I guess you're probably
what's crazy too?
You must not be accounting for the possibility of getting that ball over Taco all the way into the corner neatly into somebody's hands. So that's I want to see that pass from multiple angles. That might be a 1 in a million sort of pass. So, I mean, look, it happens. But you're right. Complexion of the series now, totally different. Coming back. So, it's...
We've seen the last blowout. We have. And game 2, we forget, it ended on a guy stepping out of bounds. They didn't even get that last shot opportunity. And we talked all about the timeout after that game.
Bobby,
looking back on it now...
2 nights ago. That's exactly, you know what I mean? What did I say?
Bobby's just trying to save face.
2 nights ago, what did I say? I wouldn't be shocked. Well, at least I asked you guys, right? I said, would any of you guys be shocked if they tie this thing up? I just think it's that kind of series.
I said yes, I would be.
I still say yes, I would be. And I'm shocked they lost tonight. And I honestly thought, again, we're talking about a miracle finish. And we're completely dancing on their graves right now. So, again, I'm willing to give credit to a point. Yes, it's pivotal. You snatch victory from the jaws of defeat and make 3-0, 2-1. Of course, mathematically, the series is different. But the reality of it is you're 0.5 seconds from literally sitting here popping champagne and on your way to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Dancing on Bobby's grave.
And dancing on Bobby's grave, and we'd be speaking it to him. So now Bobby gets to play I told you so because of, but it's fine.
Bobby was ready. Bobby's
rooting for the Raptors. It's fine.
At this point, he is. I mean, he couldn't wait to give them credit. Before this even hit the airwaves, I think he had started to roll call.
Bobby, I want to see your passport. I want to see some papers.
Hey, the disrespect for this team. The disrespect for this team was enormous. The coaching, I mean, John, you owe Nick Nurse some apologies for the coaching down the stretch there. The big men battle shifts back in their favor. The perimeter game shifts back in their favor in this one. I mean, Marcus Smart, he kills them with 2 for 9 off the back end of many of those passes. And one in the fourth quarter, big miss too, which I have a second guess. And then my other second guess on Stevens, here I go again. Why blow a few more Robert Williams minutes in that third quarter by trying to play games with Cantor against the zone? You talk about Tatum second-guessing himself a little bit against the zone. All of a sudden, Stevens is like, all right, now can I slip Cantor in here for 3 minutes? And it didn't go poorly, but I think you would have gotten more out of some Robert Williams minutes there. And they ultimately did after Cantor hurt his shoulder and Rob comes in with that giant slam through the flagrant foul. Not a huge deal, but again, a minute or two of this game where Toronto steals a little something from you.
I think Aiden just said it best. Bobby's acting like the Raptors won by 30.
Yeah, but Hamdi, who I know is
who cares? A win's a win. There's no more blowouts in this series. There's not going to be.
Hamdi's a Raptors fan. He's been hounding us this whole time. He's a big Bobby Manning backer.
Someone's going to defend.
He might be Bobby's Canadian burner account.
I can't wait
I
to
do
hear
love
what Jalen.
Toronto.
I want to hear as soon as Jalen speaks about after. I want to know what he said because I think it was just a brain fart. I think he got lost in the
My guess
looking
is
at the
they're
inbound.
worried about the lob or some sort of cut or
Well, that's why you put Taco in there
some
too.
sort of
Yeah.
screen there coming through and somebody coming in backdoor on a lob and Jalen's there to protect and just didn't. I think he
lost sight.
I don't think he thought there's any chance that ball's getting over Taco all the way to there. So again, that's why I want to see it again. We're crapping on Jalen, but I don't know.
Here come the Raptors fans. I see them in the comments.
I'm
Flowing in again.
replaying it. I'm replaying it in my head, and I don't know if that the physics behind that might not make sense. You know.
Let's check out the guy who ran the clock. I want to make sure that clock started when it was supposed to. Because it was a long 0.5 as far as I'm concerned. Very long 0.5.
Raptors.
It always ticks a little slower when you're trying to run out the game.
These guys were so quiet the last two games. Bobby got them fired up.
Well, Bobby was pretty quiet too, and now he's grinning from ear to ear. He can't wait for Game 4. He just can't wait.
Yeah,
but
I'm just saying.
On a serious note, if you're the Celtics, yeah, you're discouraged by the results, but you got to be looking at your, around your locker room, and you got to be saying, like, guys, we're better than these guys. Like, we got to go back out there again. Going up 3-1 is going to be just as deadly as far as I'm concerned. In terms of closing out the series. So they just have to come out strong. I thought they let the Raptors kind of set the tone early in the game. The Raptors kind of went out to a little bit of a lead. Celtics clawed back. It was a close game. Both teams went on their runs, but I think the Celtics, the way they played late in that game, I thought that they earned the win tonight, and they just kind of screwed it up. Simple as that. They screwed it up.
Check out the comment.
You have to pedal favor from Canada. Things go a certain way, and
Bobby's
Bobby's
a sympathetic figure in this chat room.
Well, they're gonna be picky in November when people are trying to move over the border. So you gotta do something.
Yeah, you'll be there too.
Get out of here, Bobby. I like that one. Let's.
I like Canada. I do.
Yeah, clearly, let's get into Tatum a little bit. What?
I think he kind of got caught letting Kemba do his thing. I think he maybe took a back seat a little bit. He saw Kemba was the hot hand, and I'm actually not super upset with that because I thought Kemba was the guy that I wanted to have the ball in his hand. Sometimes that's just the type of game it is. I mean, you can't just if you're Tatum, you can't always be looking for your shot or always looking to get yours. You kind of have to defer from time to time. And maybe he didn't get into the rhythm he wanted because it was kind of Kemba from the start. 17 in that first in the first
quarter.
First quarter. I mean, when he's clearly the hot hand, you kind of try to feed him and try to get him going. I'm okay with it. I just wish that he didn't sort of try to do his thing late in the game where it just didn't feel like he was in the zone at that point.
Yeah.
Which I guess give it and take it.
Yeah, I was thinking, let Kemba do his thing, and of course he was there when they needed him. He had that one drive to help them out. Jason Tatum did, and then after that, I just think the Celtics just down the stretch again. You got to give props to Kyle Lowry. I mean, sure, Nick Nurse made the play call at the end, but that pass,
Ravi, come on,
that's not easy. That's not easy at all. So,
yeah,
he's MVP of the game.
You know what? I find it interesting.
Refs are biased. Refs are, come on. Yes, this is the problem when the coach starts complaining about refereeing. Now the players start to complain, and the fans start to complain.
This was Nick Nurse's plan all along.
This is Nick Nurse created this, and now he's allowing everybody to just complain about the refs.
Every time the chat here seems to think that the refs were biased towards the Celtics. I feel like every time Toronto turned around and was like, it wasn't that a foul. They got a call. The refs are like, let's go talk about it.
And let's replay everything. Let's replay.
Larry followed Nick Nurse's lead there. He did. And, you got to give Larry so much credit. He put himself in position to get to the line time and time again, barreling to the rim. We go all the way back to the first quarter. He scores 6 points in 2.5 minutes, just pummeling to the rim, knocking guys off with, his infamous backside. He was just phenomenal in this one. I can't get over that performance there. He put the team on his back.
Who did? Lowry?
Yeah. I mean, he was going into
the
paint, banging with guys, throwing guys out. Daniel Tice. I love Daniel Tice. He was getting knocked to the ground, knocked out of position by him. That was just, man on man, pushing out of the way.
Lowry's a bull, right? I mean, before the series started, I compared Lowry. I was like, Lowry's kind of like their Paul Pierce.
Someone's blaming Taco for the last play in the comments.
Wait, did you just compare Lowry to Paul Pierce? Come on, Jimmy, don't do that.
I've heard that before.
What I compared is what he means to Toronto. I think that's what Celtics fans. I think there's comparisons there, and I do think like their build is kind of, their game's different, but they're bulky, stocky guys. They kind of work their way around to get their points. Like they're tough guys. And through the first two games, Lowry was not Lowry, right? And tonight, that's the Lowry that has made Raptors fans fall in love with him over all these years.
Yeah,
that's sort of. I don't expect you're going to get that from Lowry every game, but you're going to get something close to that.
Well,
yeah, but it's just like that.
Go ahead, Josue. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just like after that first quarter, and I know you guys all did the same, he goes off for like 11 points in like 4 minutes, and then Kemba Walker goes off for 17. You're like, okay, Kyle Lowry's going to flame out, by halftime or by the third quarter, but he never did. He kept his composure, and he really kept that intensity on the defensive end too. So I give him props for that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, you could tell. Obviously, that was clearly game plan coming in. They got him on the switches with and on Kemba, so he could muscle him instead of having Jalen, whose length he just couldn't deal with. So that was obviously strategic, and they worked that switch, and he got 10 quick points. So I mean, credit there. But then anything Lowry did in the first quarter, anything you can do, I can do better. Kemba clearly outplayed him.
Right. And that's the thing.
So it was kind of a balance there. And that's why I was like, wow, that's why, again, you talk about overconfidence. Raptors kind of did things to make it work for them in that first half. And they kind of had a pretty good first quarter, and they were down, and then they were down 10 in the second. It felt like they're out of moves,
Right,
it felt like they were out of moves.
And I feel like the last thing they anticipated was Kemba Walker to go off like that, because he hasn't done that in the first quarter this entire playoff. He's been more of a second half guy when it comes to scoring.
But the thing that didn't happen for the Celtics in this game is when you had that kind of cold stretch in the third where nobody could get a bucket, that's where they're used to it becoming Tatum time. And he was ice cold, and that's what kind of threw him there. And it is what it is. But you're right. I mean, they survived that cold Kemba game, but he came back strong in the fourth. Tatum never really showed it all today.
Well,
I mean, besides that one play down the stretch, yeah.
I'll say this about the Raptors too. You talk about that second quarter when Boston's going ahead by 10. They have a couple of big stretches there, especially, Smart with that big steal on Lowry. But then Van Fleet hits the back-to-back threes, gets them within 5 again. And then right out of halftime, Siakam hits those back-to-back buckets when they go down 10 on that Kemba 3 at the buzzer. Right. So they kept it close, like 1 possession, 2 possession. They'd always have the buckets they need in this game, especially in the second half, to keep it close. And then you know what I hate? What I hate most about this game, and this was very early on, Kemba getting lost and letting Van Fleet hit that open shot on the mid-range. I hated that play because right there I said this is how the Raptors are going to start feeling themselves again, getting those open looks, seeing it go down. And in this game, after that 0-11 start, you get Lowry on the board from 3, you get Van Fleet have a good 3-point shooting game. And even, I felt Gasol had a great game in the lane, like 4 clean pick and rolls. All those guys on the Toronto side got back to doing what they do well.
Is it me, or has he gained like 12 pounds between game 1 and game 3?
He doesn't look good out there.
He looked really steaky today. He was just steak and cheese. He looked like, I don't know what it is.
But he used the body.
Maybe it's the other uniform or whatever. But yeah, he didn't look.
That's what makes the Raptors like that team that can just erase a 12 or 14 point deficit real quick, because they have guys that can they get those high percentage looks like you were talking about, Bobby. And look at tonight, they shot almost 47%. They haven't come anywhere near that in game 1 or 2, and it made a huge difference. When Kemba started heating up in that fourth quarter.
I'm just looking at the final play again. It had nothing. Jalen has nothing to do with this. He has nothing to do with it. It looked like the shot the game when he shot, the dude slipped from behind. OG slipped from behind, like he went baseline, and he just slid behind somebody. I don't know if it was Tice who left him or somebody left him, and nobody picked him up. And the Jalen just.
Well, you know what? The Celtics might have been in a zone. They might have been playing pack the middle zone there, and then
because he did that out of the last possession. Yeah, out of the last time out.
You know what? Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Tatum just pointed at him. Tatum points at him, and then he runs toward almost like the inbounds, and nobody ends up taking him. So they were. This guy.
I'm sure they I'm sure they wrapped up Van Fleet there well, of course. But what throws you off in that situation is that Lowry's the inbounder. So you're going to try to put the ball in his hands if he isn't inbounding. And all of a sudden you see him inbounding. And, John, you said it. You think the lob's coming. You want a pinpoint pass with less than a second left.
That's what you think, right.
And that's why they go zone. That's why Taco's out there. And they ran a misdirection there. No one saw OG going for that shot. They trust him, and that's just a great play, great draw by Toronto.
Yeah, I think I've got, guys, give me a second. I might have Kyle Lowry talking about the last play, so I'm going to give it a shot here to play it, okay? Stand by.
Okay.
All right, hold on. We're going to switch it. The chat is going off.
You had Tice and Tatum on the same dude, and I think it was Tatum. I blame Tatum.
Here's Lowry talking about it. He said Taco moved a little bit. Here you go.
I mean, obviously I got balls of steel. That's one. Two, just trying to win the game. That's where you find the energy at. And that's what that was. Just trying to win the game. No gas at all. My balls of steel and just win.
Balls of steel, I guess. That was the one I grabbed. I didn't grab the one about the inbound. Is he talking about it because he got kicked in the balls, or is it?
That's probably the reference. That's what I was thinking.
Might be an illusion, yeah.
Okay. Balls of steel. Is that what I heard?
He's got balls of steel, guys.
He did take one pretty hard, but it was not a flagrant foul. So I don't want to hear from people saying that's a flagrant foul because it wasn't. Are we in agreement there?
Yeah, it was clearly not a flagrant foul. What do you do? When you take layup drills, they literally teach you to step and drive up with your left knee. That's like
push
the
off.
First thing you realize, and you're supposed to push off. Like, what are you supposed to do there? Just get out of the way. Yeah. This is my space. I'm in the air. Yeah,
I'm seeing a couple of criticisms for Brad in the comments saying he shouldn't have gone zone in the last play, and somebody saying he shouldn't have had Taco in. I didn't think Taco was an issue there. I mean, just looking at the play, I didn't see him do anything wrong. I mean, he's a big dude trying to get in the way. But maybe if they were in man, that doesn't happen. I mean.
Yeah, I always worry when you do shit like that. When they brought Taco in, I was thinking about Gronk coming in for the Hail Mary against Miami.
You're thinking too much. Yeah, exactly. It's like you're almost beating yourself here. You're putting a guy who really has no business playing a second in any of the games, and you're putting him in the most important, 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, but I'm looking for the lob too if I'm Brad Stevens, though. I'm not expecting a perimeter shot in that situation with that much time.
Taco had one job, and he did it. Did I miss him not putting his hands up? All he has to do is come out there, put the hands up.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Brad, but
Taco's job was, but he didn't deflect the pass. They still threw the ball past him way over the other side.
Hold on, I got
supposed to be Patrick Beverly now.
I got Jalen Brown. I got Jalen Brown here talking about the end of the game. Hold on, okay?
We just got to be better as a unit. Regardless of what we was in, we had to guard the 3-point line. So that was just a fucking disgrace at the end of the game. That was just terrible. No way we should have lost that game. I take responsibility for that, not just that play, but, a lot of the plays before. It happens. It's the NBA playoffs. Either you let them gain momentum, or you come back and be ready to play next game.
Tim Bontemps. Jalen, what was going through?
That's it. So you heard it.
It was
effing disgrace.
And you know what he knows? All of a sudden, this could be a 2-2 series instead of.
Yeah.
A little F-bomb from Jalen. I like it.
Yeah, Jalen was mad. And again, I mean, he's the guy out there at that time, but I mean, you just whatever the play is, regardless of the difficulty of the pass, you just can't give up a clean look like that.
Yeah,
you can't. With 0.5 seconds, you can't have a guy catch and shoot. I don't care where the breakdown is. You just can't do it.
It makes me think, too, that's the guy who was fouling shooters on the Boston side last game. He started 7-12, makes those key mistakes to lose game 2, and he wins game 3 on the 3-point shot. He's been underrated. He's done a lot more than I thought OG and Anunoby would be capable of doing in this series against all these wings.
Well, yeah, we saw that in game 2, though, right? The way
he was great
defense, and he was the only sort of glimmer of hope throughout that second half of someone, that could score off the dribble that wasn't named Siakam or Kyle Lowry.
I have a question for our good friend Bobby. Did the Raptors win that game, or did the Celtics lose that game?
Oh, the Raptors won it.
Really? Because
easily.
But that's not true, though, right, John? I mean, somebody back me up here. That's just not true.
They went out and won both
in this place right now, man. You know, Bobby. You know who the answer Bobby's gonna have for that question, man.
Before the three.
You say that?
This is before the three. They had a 2-point lead in the fourth quarter on the final score of the fourth. They win the third quarter. They have that phenomenal second half from the field. Lowry scoring in all 4 quarters to keep the pace. And the only reason the Celtics were in the lead is because that crazy bounce on the Brown miss. They had an 8-0 run before that after trailing. So the Raptors in control twice out of the 3 stretches.
You're just saying, aside from all the points they scored, they shouldn't have had a lead in this game.
Well, that was to come back, and then the Raptors take the lead to win again.
Bob,
it's a great day to be a kid. Yeah.
It comes down to this. The Celtics were in the lead with 0.5 seconds left in the game, and they completely blew the inbounds play. All they have to do is defend it, and they win the game, and we're not even having this conversation.
Look, Bobby Canadian, let him have this one, Jimmy.
I thought they played a good game. The first half
They did. They played fine. but the Celtics lost this game.
All right, I got a cool camera angle here on the last shot. I'm going to play it just to see.
Fan cam, yeah.
Well, hold on. Ready? Here we go. All right, we don't need to see celebration, but still, heck of a pass. I still can't tell what else Jalen was responsible for there. You know, I'm still looking for it. And Bobby, you said you were watching.
That's just a great play.
There's another replay. There's another replay.
He gets it. He not only gets it over Taco, he puts it on the chest.
Yeah.
Like, come on. That's one of the best passes I've seen all playoffs.
Before the inbounds,
aside from Kemba.
When the play started, Tatum was standing with OG. Right when the ball was handed off to be inbounded, OG runs baseline. Tatum points at him to either Tice or Brown, whoever. They didn't get that message. Miscommunication right there. Nobody ever picked up OG, and he just stood there wide open in the corner. That wasn't the play. You think that's what Nick Nurse drew up to get it to him in the corner? No, that was the last-ditch effort because he was wide open over there, so why not give it a shot? He never expected him to be open. If anyone saw him running baseline, they would have just picked him up. But everyone was looking at the inbounds. Nobody was looking behind. Complete mess up.
Josue, how'd the Celtics defend in this one, you feel?
I mean, it's one of those situations where you should be able to. Jalen should have been there to deny. In the past, I mean, he gets there, he puts a hand in his face, but
the whole game too. The whole game.
The whole game, I thought defensively, the way they defended the pick and roll when Kyle Lowry really started going, they responded right. They responded in the right way after all the like I said in the beginning. After Kemba goes off, after Toronto still hangs around down the stretch, I just think the Celtics couldn't anticipate for that setup. And overall, defensively, I just didn't see the same sort of intensity that we saw in Game 1 and 2, but it was enough that they should have won the game. You know, again, I don't think Toronto stole this one. I think Boston sort of blew it.
Too much floating for me, especially when they get those open looks. I saw that Kemba play, the one with Van Fleet when I mentioned. Same thing as the last play of the game. 2 guys getting caught on one guy, and then another man floating free. There was a ton of penetration, too, when you think of what Lowry did in this one.
Yeah, but he had to fight for those buckets, though. You know what I mean? Like, he was impressive.
Guys,
you can see on this last play, too, Smart's actually barking at Jalen to get over. Jalen's just lost floating in the lane.
Yeah,
you know what's crazy, too? Brown recovers and comes about an inch from blocking it.
Yeah.
Like, he gets back there. He really does.
There was such a loft on that
He's
inbound.
so late getting over. He's literally nowhere. I mean, no joke. There's 9 guys inside the key and over towards the sideline, and Anunoby has that much space. He literally has half the court to himself. There is when that pass is about to get thrown, Jalen is nowhere freaking near him. So again, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at a freeze frame of where Jalen was when that pass was about to get thrown. He had no chance of getting over there. He took himself out of the play before it began. That's just
he should have blocked that shot, and it makes me think of that Thunder Rockets game we watched last night, where Harden makes that play, but the Thunder don't put a good passer on the inbounds. They put Shai instead of Chris Paul there. You don't want to give Nick Nurse credit, Jimmy, but I think even putting Kyle Lowry in that position, when he's the guy doing all the scoring in this game to make the pass for the win, I think is great coaching.
What you also don't know is Jalen might have had a different responsibility. This could be like one of those NFL plays where it's like it looks like it's on the corner, but the safety didn't come over. Maybe he thought Smart was going to the corner. It's hard to say. Yeah. I am a little worried on like the fallout here because they're definitely mad. You know, you never see Jalen talk like that, like what it was when we played it earlier, that could have a lasting effect of like you're cruising and it's happy fun time and you're about to go 7-0 in the playoffs and the Bucks are losing and you're like, geez, this is a free friggin' ticket. Vegas just made the Celtics favorites to go to the finals. Now that the Bucks are 2-0, Celtics factoring in the fact that they're up 2-0 and Milwaukee's down 2-0, but now they're the betting favorites. They were entering tonight to go to the finals. So it is a massive. I mean, I don't like momentum in sports, but it is a huge shift.
I mean, also too, guys, I can't help but think about how Jalen, he used to be and sort of is that guy, right? Like we've seen him throughout the season where Kemba will sort of be like, hey, man, you're supposed to be over there when you weren't supposed to. Or like, heck, we saw it 2 games ago, right? I think Kemba said it to him. He gave the ball to Kemba. They dribble back up. Kemba gives it back to him. He makes a 3. He sort of gave Kemba that look like, relax, I got this. And I just think sometimes he sort of just has these, I don't want to call them like mental lapses.
He
does. Sort of checks out for a second. But what an awful time to check out. You know what I mean? Like that's the lot. You can't check out at that moment. And I know he was high off of, what happened the last play. He's thinking this game is pretty much over, but you can't do that.
No, it's true. I mean, I was complaining about it on the thread, and we were talking about it sitting here before, that I thought Jalen had a few moments like that during the game where he just wasn't valuing the possessions and just kind of didn't have a plan, was a little bit out of sorts at some time.
But Jimmy, do you feel me on that? Like, I feel like we've seen that before. Like, I mean, last year we saw it a bunch with Kyrie. He would, like, scream at him. Or when Marcus Morris shoved them in that timeout in Miami, like, he's just been that guy before last year and a little bit this year. You have to sort of like, hey, Jalen, snap out of it, man. Like, you know what I mean? You're somewhere you're not supposed to be on defense.
No, I agree. I mean, I think he was a little bit too locked in on what was going on in front of him. And he just, whether it was a missed assignment or, like I said, he was supposed to cover that switch and he just didn't. I don't know if Brad had them in a zone when they should have just been in a simple man. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot going on there. And it's kind of mayhem, kind of chaotic. Celtics also, didn't they have a timeout? So, I mean, they could have called a timeout. I mean, I guess it doesn't happen, in that situation. But
listening to the post-game commentary, it sounded like they were trying to pass guys off to one another, and they just miscommunicated.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it looked like. It just looked like kind of chaotic, very chaotic out there.
Everybody they were trying to quarterback the switches, and you go here and you catch the corner 3, and you go here. And when Tatum went one place, but Tatum just had some commentary there that they were trying to switch and he was going somewhere else, but he didn't communicate it well enough. It looks like at least they're trying to share the blame, saying they all weren't on the same page there.
I don't think this is like going to, mess up the team chemistry and all of a sudden there's going to be poisonous locker room. Maybe last year that would happen, right? With somebody leading the charge, but this team just doesn't have that type of makeup. They've, it's not their first loss ever, it's their first playoff loss, but they've been there, done that with some tough losses before. And listen, they'll just come back and play their game. Like I said, like I've been saying, if they just play their game, they play a good game, a good Celtics game is going to beat a good Raptors game, in my opinion, every time, based on what I've seen through 3 games.
Yeah, but it's like what John was saying a couple nights ago. The Raptors need a damn near perfect game, whereas the Celtics don't.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but again, because Bobby's going to say it eventually, I'll just beat him to the punch. There's a couple.
Both played good tonight.
No, there's a couple things that Toronto does that, once you see it, you're like, this works, so maybe I'll do it. You're talking to the zone. Anytime they've gone to it for all 3 games has flustered them a little bit. They got the transition game going a little bit more tonight. So they had I think 14 transition points. They figured out a way to get Lowry going. They figured out a way to get Van Fleet going. Now you still don't have, as Joe Sway mentioned, the Siakam game, which maybe you do get it. So you're right. if you see a game where Toronto puts everything together and the Celtics don't play well, again, you could have a situation like this. Boston's still playing sloppy. They're turning the ball over on non-pressure situations. They're doing it to themselves. They're playing some sloppy basketball. And in all of the games, even the wins, the first game, I thought they had a ton of. They had 20-something.
20 or something.
22 turnovers in the first game when they blew them out. They're not. They're, like I said, they're not valuing the ball, and they're not valuing each possession, which is a little frustrating here. So again, these are things that you think Toronto could theoretically build on.
Now we got to mention Kemba, because if I'm going to point out two things that look good to me on the Boston side, and with that zone, I think it can hurt Toronto, it can help Toronto, because they change defenses so much that they don't give themselves time to get comfortable in there.
Right.
And Kemba's a guy who tore it up. All the different looks that they threw at him, he was able to find his way around. And that last play, we've barely mentioned it, but that would have been the entire show if they went up 3-0, slicing the two defenders, picking up the third, and then going around the back to Tice.
Yeah, but
he's able to respond to all those looks.
That zone hits differently in the second half. Like, that's timed perfectly. Nick Nurse knows that his guys, they got.
They go 1 for 9 against it to open the third. So that's
right. But you have the fresh legs out of halftime, hit them with the zone, and that's how they sort of use that moment to catch up a bit. And that's what happened, you know?
Yeah, other times you get a Grant Williams 3 off of it. So I feel like there's pluses and minuses to seeing it. Tatum, when they get a guard on Tatum, and this is what surprises me about the Tatum development and him struggling toward the end of this, is that when he saw the zone earlier in the game, he just shoots right over those guards. Van Fleet was right up on him, and he drills it over him. So that's something I feel like Tatum can work out as the series goes on and he sees it more. And Rob, would have liked to seen a little bit more Rob, as I mentioned before. I thought he was good in this one.
I thought Rob was tough in the first half. That's why you saw some I know they brought Cantor in because of the zone too, but I thought Rob was a little bit all over the place.
Well, he makes a key pass to Grant, dives on the floor for a few balls, so it's always the good and the bad there. It's just I'm probably harping too much. And the whole bench did play a little too much in this one. You're right.
But I thought in the third quarter the bench did their thing, right? They put the
that was
Celtics
big.
in position to win, and they sort of held down the fort there. I mean, it was Wanamaker who apparently somebody needs to tell Wanamaker that you have to dribble the ball before you start running with it. Because, I mean, a couple travels tonight. I don't know what's going on with that.
He travels every game. He travels every single game.
Travels. It's like you learn that by eighth grade, you're not traveling anymore.
Jalen had it too. Jalen had 1 or 2 of those also.
Yeah, so I mean, aside from that, I thought Brad was fine. I thought Grant was solid. I mean, I still don't love to see him out there. I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't fit anywhere. But I liked him out there. I thought
too much fouling.
It was unfortunate that he got hurt because I thought he was at least giving them something on the offensively. Anyways, he was in the limited time we saw him, but yeah, just wasn't enough in the end. Wasn't enough, and you just got to build off. You got to, like Bobby said, Kemba tonight, amazing. You got to build off some of those positives. Top right dude, too busy reading the comments. Who's that? Who's in the top right?
I don't know if they're talking about Bobby or me, but
no, they're talking about me.
But I think
no, that would be you. Wait, are people seeing something different? Because I'm in the top right. But
I was reading him earlier. I mean, I'm just trying to read it. Riku, or who we posted.
The people have something to say.
He criticized Tatum. Riku criticized Tatum for one of the shots that he hoisted towards the end of the game, but I actually thought that he was kind of forced to take that. I didn't see anybody. It almost like they did a clear out for Tatum, and Kemba was not looking to get that ball, and I was kind of hoping that he would, because it ended up being a horrific shot. I think it was an air ball, actually, and just a wasted of a possession there, and it turned out to be obviously a very important one. But in that situation, I want Kemba with the ball, and let him decide if he wants to take it or if he wants to distribute it. I don't want it the other way around.
We have a comment there pointing out that the T in TD Garden stands for Toronto. That's probably your
yeah, is that your burner account?
Yeah, it's your burner account, Bob. No home team has won in this series. No home team.
Marc Gasol didn't have an awful game. Marc Gasol, he was sending some pretty tough screens. He was getting involved in there. He was diving for loose balls. I mean, I could see why he's still in the starting five. Put it that way. He was really helping Van Fleet get that shot off, especially in the first half. I thought when Van Fleet, you didn't know what kind of night he was going to have, and then the second half answered the question for you.
Toronto Dominion is what we're talking about here. All right. Well, one thing I did want to talk about is the again, you're not going to talk about this as a squander, but because you've got the Bucks trailing the Heat, again, it seems like you've got this kind of clear path. And again, not that Miami's a walkthrough and not that this series is over, but this is where everybody woke up today. It was like up 2-0, put the hammer down on Toronto, and like, wow, this thing is there, for for taking, And again, no disrespect to the Heat, Milwaukee's Milwaukee and was a historically good team this year, and destroyed the Celtics last year in the playoffs. So,
the opportunity's there. It's still
this
there,
opportunity's
right?
sitting there theoretically. And again, if you're not going to say this series is over, certainly you don't think that the Bucks are buried, but they do look almost like Toronto looked like,
it looks like the Bucks are off. It looks like something's going on with the Bucks
right now.
Like something's going on with them. Giannis doesn't look happy right now with what. I don't know if the media is getting to him or if
the Heat are getting to him.
Jimmy Butler's poking
Jay
away
Crowder.
at him.
We should have never let that guy go.
Should we do another segment on Jay Crowder?
Get out of here. Yeah, man, the pressure's on. This is when superstars are supposed to. This is when you're supposed to play Lambos. He didn't know that Miami Heat were going to be this tough.
The Heat are not going to. Listen, if Celtics do advance, and it's a big if at this point because they're only up 2-1, the Heat are certainly not going to roll over because they're feeling the same way the Celtics are feeling if they get there. That they weren't thought of to get there. They were sort of tossed aside, but they're a tough ass team, man. They play hard, and Jimmy Butler. I think I said it last game. Celtics fans are gonna love to hate Jimmy Butler. He's gonna be one of those guys if the two teams match up. He plays that style of basketball.
More than Kyle Lowry?
Yes, more than Kyle Lowry for sure. I don't think Kyle Lowry's that hateable. I think Jimmy Butler's got a way more meaner streak in him that can really get under the opponent's skin and under opponent's fans' skin.
He's tough. Yeah.
He's tough, and he's kind of like their identity right now, right? They're kind of all rallying behind him, and they got a lot of swagger and confidence. And the Bucks are just kind of listless. Like Giannis, if you like Jimmy Butler's up here and Giannis is down here right now in terms of like the swag factor, I feel like.
Boring Giannis, right?
Boring Bucks. Historically good and historically boring.
Uh-oh.
I can't even hear Bobby.
What happened?
Bobby did something to his headphones. We can't hear him now.
Oh, he's gone. Thank
Get
God.
the Raptors fan out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't leave voluntarily. I kicked him out.
He was about to
cut his
defend
mic.
the Bucks.
I knew it.
Cut his mic. Defend the Bucks, so it's actually fine. That
I'm looking for a little more post-game commentary before we wrap it up. I know Tatum had some stuff to say. Otherwise, you guys got any thoughts before we put a bow on this one?
No, man. I was just gonna say, watch out for the Heat and Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals.
Watch out for the Heat. You're looking way too far ahead. I mean.
Man. Like, what are we talking about?
Bobby's reading his fan mail on the chat room.
It's not about if someone's going to win this series. It's about how long it's going to take for them to close it out. Like that's what we're talking about here.
I mean,
okay, so now you got confident again.
Well, the Raptors are going to win 4 out of the next 6, or now it's 3 out of the next 5. Come on, it's not going to happen. But the Celtics are just making things harder on themselves.
I think so.
Bobby,
go ahead.
I was going to say Game 4 it's always the most important game, in my opinion, because if the Celtics do go up 3-1, we can probably assume that they're going to advance. But if all of a sudden the Raptors take 2 straight and they take a little bit of momentum here and a little bit of confidence, we're sitting here looking, borderline foolish, I think, after Game 4 if it's a 2-2 series. Well, I know I will be because I expected. We were talking like a sweep. We were kind of joking, but we were kind of serious that the Celtics looked so much better. But I mean, seriously, I would be surprised if the Raptors win Game 4 because I just didn't see the series. After what I saw in the first 2 games, I did not see the Raptors winning the following 2 games. So Game 4 is going to be huge, and it's going to tell me a lot about the Celtics' DNA. If they can sort of get past some of this, a little turbulence here, first real turbulence that they've had in the playoffs, probably really in the bubble because the regular season bubble games didn't matter a whole lot. So they've really got, a day now to sort of get it back together, recuperate, and, play their style of basketball, which, like I said, if they play good basketball, they will beat a good Raptors team.
The Raptors got back to their game in this one, and I feel like it's going to be there for the rest of the series.
I can hear Bobby. If you can't, Jimmy.
I can hear him.
Okay.
All right, you got me. Yeah. So the key thing here is that the Raptors got back to the game, and I think that's going to be there for the rest of these playoffs. I think their defense is set. I think their shooters, aside from Siakam, we still got to get that Siakam game, Josue, and then all of a sudden you're going to have a fully loaded Raptors team going back at them. What makes me feel confident in the Celtics on their end is that I think everybody is still rolling to the best of their ability still. You mentioned the strong bench. I think Brown had a phenomenal game besides the last miscue, if it was even his, that we talked about. Tatum on a lower end of his production, but as we've seen in these bubble games, he can bounce back from that. And still strong defense from him in this one, I felt like. And Kemba, when you have Kemba rolling the way he has out of this and killing it in 2 of these 3 games, 2.5 really, when we think of his closing effort in game 2, it's going to be tough to beat the Celtics in this one for the Raptors, especially when we look at the math at 3 out of 5, as Josue says. Could I see this one going 7? Yeah, but at this point, I think Raptors have to pull off too many wins to come out of this one. Like that 2-1 advantage is key for the Celtics right now.
All right, Jimmy, since you can't hear Bobby, I'll just tell you that he said that Toronto's going to win the next 3 games.
I think I read his lips. I think I actually gathered that. It was a little wordy, but
that's the translation.
Yeah.
Raptors in 5.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, after what we saw from Tatum, bounce back game is on deck. Jalen Brown, I think these two combined for something ridiculous, like we saw earlier throughout these playoffs. But I do think the series goes 6. I don't know. I don't know if the Celtics win it. I don't know if this thing ties up in 2, but I just see it going 6. I think the Celtics they'll let one more slip away from them.
I think we get a 7-game series. I think we get a 7-game series here.
Bobby says it's going the distance, Jimmy.
Nah, man.
Originally, before the series started, I had Celtics in 7, but after what I saw, I had to switch it because I just think the Celtics are not head and shoulders. They're just better than the Raptors. And in the NBA, more than any other sport, the better team wins. It's not like the NFL or the NHL where, a hot team can sort of, make a run. It's a better team wins, and the Celtics are the better team. They're going to advance. It doesn't matter how many games.
I agree. So my final thought is this, and it's a developing opinion. At first, I was feeling the shift of momentum, and the Celtics could be a little rattled by this and feel like they let one get away. But instead, I think they're coming out friggin' knives out. Got angry on Saturday that we're not going to let. I kind of now
see a blowout.
I'm going into wake up call mode here. Instead of panic, we did this to ourselves. We're not going to let it happen again. That's what I think. So,
yeah, exactly. And then
Toronto's going to play better too. So I think it's going to be the best game of the series. And I think the Celtics are going to win.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen next, right? It's going to be 3-1, and then people are going to be like, "Oh, well, look what happened in the Denver series. Toronto could pull it off." No.
John's got the green goggles on, ready to go. He's going to have the leprechaun hat on, ready to go for Game 4. He thinks the Celtics are going to win by 60.
Jimmy, you know me. You know me better than anybody.
Yeah,
that's not me, my man.
That's not him at all. But the way you're thinking, though, it's very against what your normal thinking is.
It is, but like I said, I'm watching it and I don't see it. Like Toronto, I've been deferential to Toronto this whole time because of the numbers and what you see. But everything I see when I watch, I'm not super impressed. I think it's all in these intangibles. They've got heart and they fight and the heart of a champion and they're tough and they're this and that. I'm like,
got them a win tonight.
But they're pretty good. That's good. That's like their little engine that could shit. They're not a team you get scared of, and that's kind of where I view it,
We could easily be talking about it. We could easily be talking about a 2-1 Raptors series right now.
And the whole country.
You could. The Sixers series could be 2-2. We could have just wrapped up Game 7. There was a couple losable games there too, but I like this one.
Oh yeah.
The Raptors fans love that 0-2 talk. They got down 0-2 in this series, and they were thrilled. They were like, "This is exactly where we were last year."
Yeah, it's nice when you have arguably the best player in the NBA on your team. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
I like this one here.
Jeez.
Game 4, Celtics by a trillion. You know what's been interesting? The Celtics have been underdogs in the first 3 games here, so I'm interested to see what the 4th one's going to be.
Celtics still cover on this one.
The disrespect.
3 straight covers.
Celtics have been the better team so far. Okay.
They think we're clueless.
Could be any. You could be talking about any of us, really.
I think everyone got mad about.
Probably Bobby.
They just got mad at my rant, I think. The last few comments were all like, shut this idiot. Oh, shut this
Typical
idiot
Boston.
Why you mad, bro?
Why are you upset?
My last thing out of this one for the Celtics.
Wait, you can't have your last thoughts.
I need to get this one out.
No, this is like a Bobby presser, bro. He's talking about the Raptors.
I want him to have it.
This is going to be the key for the rest of the series, since I think every game's going to be close the rest of the way. Celtics got to line up some good possessions down the stretch here. Like,
yeah,
this has been a Stevens thing now for a couple of years. Like, when they get late in the games, the offense doesn't flow, doesn't move, doesn't get it to the guy they need it to in these late game situations. I mean, even that Kemba pass right to the end of Tice's fingertips, makes a good catch there and finishes it. But the way he was playing all game, that could have bounced away too, and the trap could have worked on Kemba. Those traps that Toronto is throwing out there on Tatum, on Kemba, are going to put the ball in the hands of Jalen Brown, Daniel Tice late in these games. And so can those guys get it done? They almost did here.
What did he...
I thought you were reading the comments. I thought that's what he was doing this whole time.
I put that one up for me.
No, I thought that's what Jimmy was looking at.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I think they're calling me homeless.
I've seen you a lot worse.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, I'm gonna hit the liquor behind me in a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you broke into that house over there.
I'm gonna hit some Ripple back there. So that's it. I guess we'll wrap it up. It happened.
We'll wrap it up.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
We got a series.
Game. You know, I'm gonna wrap it up by this. The NBA playoffs have been unreal. They've just been so much fun to watch.
Last night was a dream.
I don't know what Bobby's saying when he's saying it, so
You
it's like I'm.
You still can't hear?
Yeah. Bobby, don't answer me. You can answer
I
somebody
thought
else.
that was his reaction to what Bobby said.
I don't know what he said. I mean, assuming he's
He
agreeing
said
with
last
me,
night was a dream.
That's so good.
a dream. Okay, I mean, it was good. It was a great night of basketball. Let me go that far. But
That's why your reaction was so funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, listen. No, I'm just so. Well, I never admit that I'm wrong, but I will admit I didn't think basketball was going to happen this season, and I wasn't even excited for it. But wow, was I wrong, because it's been super competitive. And the other thing I said was, like, whoever wins, it's not even going to mean as much. Dude, it might even mean more to win in this season, just with everything going on. I mean, the competitiveness has been amazing. I did mute Bobby by design. Competitiveness has been amazing, and the games have been down on the wire, and they've been so much fun to watch. And it's just been, I'm so glad that the players, not for my own selfish reason, but I'm just glad that the players decided to keep playing, because they do have a platform here, and you know, everyone's watching, so they're totally making the most of it.
Jimmy, I'm with you. I couldn't agree more. You watch it, and again, I know like the fan noise is pumped in and this and that. It feels real. Like everything about it, you could tell that they're playing,
Right.
and it's real. I don't know what it was. Like hockey didn't feel it. Baseball is the worst by miles.
So I hear. I haven't watched.
I have not watched an inning, and I will try not to. But it looks so depressing. But this is great.
Yeah.
They've done everything right. It's a huge like testament to the league. Silver, the players for the buy-in, everybody's in, man. And some of them, are struggling, like it can't be awesome being in there the whole time. Some people I'm sure are living their best life down there, but I mean,
yeah.
Guys
with families are probably missing their families.
I know they got the fams in there now too, but it's like
been in the sun.
They've done it. Yeah. It's been awesome. I agree with you. Josue, anything before we wrap it?
No, that's it, guys. But hey, stay tuned. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown show coming up. Maybe 60. I don't know, maybe 64, something like that. They're going to combine for that.
Don't tell Bob.
Yeah, don't tell Bobby. But I wouldn't.
Siakam game too.
I wouldn't discount that. I really do. I think Game 4 is going to be the best game of the series, but I think the Celtics come out strong, and I think Toronto's going to play. They're trending up, so each game's been a little bit better than the last for Toronto. So we'll see how that goes. But we're back. I think all of us back on Saturday, and then we've at least got one more of these, so we'll see in this series. Yeah, so we're back for that too. So until then, Jimmy, Bobby, Josue, we will